So, how do you get yourself out of bed when you don't want to? Which is another way of saying, how do you raise your frequency or your vibe when you're not in such a good place? Hi, it's Solera here. So, I thought I would share something with you today because this morning I had a very hard time getting out of bed. I think because all this quarantine, and I tend to be a very social person because I like to get outside, go to the mall, get my nails done. And now that I'm at home almost all day long, right, other than just going out to get some food, it's been very difficult. And I think as a sensitive, empathic person, I tend to absorb a lot of energy from just everybody around me, right? Even though I'm not interacting with a lot of people, but I feel like I am interacting with the world, and I feel like every time I read something about the virus or whatever, I take on that negative energy. So a very simple way is to just do something different than you normally do. Like normally when I wake up, let's say I'm not a morning person, so I'm like grumpy, or I go downstairs, I go to the bathroom or whatever. But this morning I was like, okay, I'm just going to let myself actually be in bed and not force myself to get up, because I actually found that sometimes when I push myself, it sort of backfires, right? Because I feel grumpy or I'm negative and I don't want to do it. And I listened to a podcast, like an uplifting podcast for women. And I was like, oh my God, this is starting to feel really good, because I feel like I'm like listening to somebody's conversation, and it's interesting, it's fun, it's like girl talk. And for me, it was just a different thing. I don't usually listen to podcasts, ever. And actually, I text the spiritual guy. So this is how I talk to them at home, okay? When I do channeling for other people, I'll be channeling like the way I'm talking to you right now, via the camera. But when I'm at home, when I talk to them, I'm texting them. And they'll text me back. Text me back, I mean, it's my fingers. And they'll say, they said, you know what, just calm down. Sometimes, when I'm complaining about things, the spiritual guys are, they're not here to baby me, and they're very direct. They say, you just need to calm down, and you're going to feel better by the time you wake up. And you're like, okay, that's not exactly some spiritual, enlightening, awakening message over here, but actually that's just what I need sometimes. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll calm down. And then, after a couple hours passes by and I'm listening to, the podcast, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel better. So then I moved myself off the bed, okay? And I thought, okay, how else am I going to lift myself out of this sort of funk? Or sometimes when you're not in a good place, it's just hard to switch, right? It's not like there's like a button. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make myself look nice because I like makeup. So I started to put some makeup on, I did my hair, put some earrings on, got dressed. Because from what I hear from all my friends, everybody's in pajamas because now you don't have to get out of the house, right? And, my boyfriend's actually at work. So it's just me. Like, nobody's looking at me. I don't need to look nice. But I feel like sometimes when you look nice, you don't have to do it for somebody else, right? And I don't think it's about gender. It's not like, oh, guys don't need to look nice. Actually, I find that when men are well dressed, they also feel a sense of confidence because you feel good. You feel good when you like the way you look in the mirror. I think it's very important that we need to like ourselves before we try to get somebody else to like us. And I think in my early 20s, I think I did a lot of things to try to prove my own worth, and it was always about kind of chasing other people's likes of me, right? These days we want people to like our Facebook posts or whatever. But I think it's important to like yourself. And one of the easiest ways to like yourself is if you look nice in the mirror, right? Do it for yourself. Don't try to do it for somebody else. You don't need to say, oh, I'm going on a date and therefore I need to look nice. No, you just get dressed, look nice, and you'll feel better. And I think sometimes it's very simple things. And, I luckily have access to spiritual guides all the time, and I can complain, I can vent to them, all day long, and they never criticize me. But still, sometimes when I'm being grumpy, why don't you just take a nap? Okay, it's like some things that a friend would tell you, right? Like, just go take a nap, right? It's not, people think like the spiritual awakening, this whole thing, it's like some big aha moment or something like this. But it's not. It's very simple because you're still living day-to-day life, right? And so part of, I think, the growing to be the spiritual being is just learning to be okay with yourself in the process. And it doesn't mean that you need to meditate 10 hours a day like I used to do. I had gone to an ashram and had meditated like 5 months, all day, every day. And, you can do it in a very extreme way like I did, or you can just do it in a very simple way, and it's every day working to love yourself a little bit more. And I think it's really about just enjoying your own company. And I think that I feel like that's what the quarantine is teaching a lot of people, right? And myself included. So today I finally got out of bed and I feel really good. I'm really happy. I did my painting, which I hadn't done in a couple of days. So it's things like that you can do to uplift yourself and still live in your bubbles of joy, right? So if you haven't watched my video on bubbles of joy, you should go into the units in the Facebook group and watch that. And before I forget, I want to tell you I'm doing a 10-day growth challenge. The idea just came to me. I thought, okay, everybody's at home, let's do something fun. It's going to start on April 27th, and then we're going to do a challenge where I'll be teaching you some of these things that the spiritual guides have taught me, about love, about money, like just these basic areas of life that you can work on and improve over time. So please join me. The link should be in the Facebook group already, or I'll try to post it somewhere down below. And I will see you on the inside. Oh, be sure to register because you'll get a special workbook which you'll need to follow along. Okay? See you later.